margin lie, why your 65% gross margin might actually be 12%. What's your gross margin? Or if you just rattled off a number in your head, 65%, 70%, I need you to hear something. That number, it's probably lying to you. I worked with a founder last year. She could tell you her gross margin in her sleep, 68%. Beautiful number, the kind of number that gets investors excited. But when we calculated her actual contribution margin by SKU, her hero product, the one she was pouring all her marketing dollars into, 12%, 12. Today, we're talking about the margin lie, why gross margin is the vanity metric that's killing DTC brands, and how to calculate the number that actually matters. This is Supply Chain Moves, and I'm Lara, your host. Our episode today is about the margin lie. Okay, let's talk about margin. Every founder knows their gross margin. It's like the first number you learn in DTC. Revenue minus cost of goods sold divided by revenue. It's on your P&L. Your investors ask about it. It's the number you throw around in conversations to signal that your business is healthy. But here's the truth. Gross margin is a lie of omission. It tells you almost nothing about whether you're actually making money on the products you sell. This episode is for you if you're doing somewhere between 500K and 3 million. If you're at this stage, you probably have multiple SKUs now. You're running marketing, you're shipping to customers, and you're making decisions every single day about which products to push, which to discount, which to kill. And if you're making those decisions based on gross margin, you're flying blind. By the end of this episode, you're going to understand the difference between gross margin and contribution margin. You'll know the 7 costs that most founders forget, and you'll have a framework to calculate the real profitability of every single SKU in your catalog. Let's get into it. Here's what I hear from founders at your stage all the time. They say, Lara, I don't understand. My margins look great, but I'm not profitable. Where's the money going? And when I dig in, the story is almost always the same. They've got a flagship product. Let's call it product A. It sells like crazy. It's got a 70% gross margin. So naturally, they pour resources into it. More ad spend, more inventory, maybe a product line extension. And meanwhile, product B is sitting there, maybe 55% gross margin. Looks less attractive on paper, so it gets less love. But here's what they don't see. Product A requires special packaging that costs $3 more per unit. It's heavy, so shipping eats another $4. It has a 12% return rate because customers don't read the instructions. And the customer acquisition cost? $18 because everyone and their mother is advertising in that category. Product B, simple packaging, lightweight, 3% return rate, and it sells mostly through organic search because it hits a niche keyword perfectly. CAC of $6. When you calculate contribution margin, that 70% gross margin product is actually making you 16%. And that 55% gross margin product, 32% contribution margin. You've been starving your winner and feeding your loser. And the advice founders usually get: focus on high margin products, push your bestsellers, double down on what's working. None of that advice is wrong, but it's incomplete because it assumes gross margin tells you what's working. It doesn't. Here's the truth: stop making decisions based on gross margin. At your stage, you need to know contribution margin by SKU. And if you don't, you're probably bleeding money on your best sellers. I know that sounds dramatic. Gross margin is like the thing, it's what you report, it's what investors ask about. It feels important. But here's the principle: gross margin only captures one layer of cost. The cost of making the product, it completely ignores the cost of selling the product and getting it to the customer. Contribution margin captures both. Let me define it clearly. Contribution margin equals revenue minus all variable costs associated with that sale. That's COGS, yes, but it's also shipping, payment processing, returns, and refunds, customer acquisition cost, variable fulfillment costs, all of it. Contribution margin answers the question: when I sell 1 unit of this SKU, how much money is actually left over to cover my fixed costs and profit? Gross margin can't answer that question. It doesn't even try. And here's why this matters so much at your stage. When you were doing 100K, maybe 200K, you could kind of feel your way through. You knew which products were winners because you were close to every sale. But now you've got 10 SKUs, maybe 30, you've got marketing spend across channels, you've got fulfillment complexity. You cannot intuit your way to the truth anymore. You need the math. Let me tell you about a brand I worked with. I'll call her Sarah. Sarah had a skincare line. She was doing about 1.8 million in revenue when we met. Beautiful products, great brand, loyal customers, and she was exhausted, working 70-hour weeks and barely paying herself. When I asked her about her margins, she lit up. Our Hero Serum has a 68% gross margin. It's our best product. And she was right. On paper, it looked incredible. The serum cost her $12 to make, and she sold it for $38. Classic DTC math. So I said, okay, let's dig in. Walk me through what happens when someone buys that serum. Here's what we found. Cost of goods, $12. But that serum had a glass bottle with a custom dropper. The packaging alone was another $4. Fulfillment, including pick, pack, and the branded box insert she was so proud of, $3.50. Shipping averaged $5 because she offered free shipping to stay competitive. Payment processing at 2.9% plus 30 cents. Another $1.40. We're not even at marketing yet, and she's already at $25.90 out of that $38 sale. But here's where it got painful. Her Hero Serum had a 14% return rate. 14%. Because people bought it expecting miracles, and when their skin didn't transform in 2 weeks, they sent it back. At her price point, she couldn't resell returns. So every return cost her not just the product, but the original shipping, the return shipping she covered, and the processing time. Effective return cost per unit sold $4.70, and finally, customer acquisition. She was spending aggressively on Meta to push this hero product. Her blended CAC for the serum was $22. Let's do the math together. $38 sale, minus 12 for COGS, minus 4 for packaging, minus 350 for fulfillment, minus 5 for shipping, minus 140 for payment processing, minus 470 for returns, minus 22 for CAC. Contribution margin, negative $14.60. Every time someone bought her hero product, she lost nearly $15. And she was spending her entire marketing budget trying to sell more of it. Meanwhile, she had this simple moisturizer, basic jar, 52% gross margin. She barely promoted it because it seemed boring, less impressive. When we calculated contribution margin on that moisturizer, 26%, it was her only truly profitable product. The turning point was when Sarah saw those numbers side by side. She literally put her head in her hands. She'd spent 18 months, probably $200,000 in marketing, pushing a product that was sinking her business. The lesson? Your hero might be your villain. Bestseller does not mean best margin. Sarah's story isn't unusual. I see this pattern constantly. In my experience working with DTC brands, when founders calculate contribution margin for the first time, at least one of their top 3 sellers is significantly underperforming what gross margin would suggest, usually by 20 points or more. Why? Because the costs that gross margin ignores are exactly the costs that vary most between products. Let me walk you through the 7 costs most founders forget. Write this down. Number 1, variable shipping, not your average shipping cost, the actual cost for that specific product. Heavy products cost more, oversized products cost more, fragile products that need extra padding cost more. Number 2, payment processing, usually around 3% plus 30 cents. Sounds small until you multiply it across thousands of orders. Number 3, variable fulfillment. What does it actually cost to pick, pack, and ship this specific SKU? Kits with multiple components cost more. Products with special handling cost more. Number 4, returns and refunds, not your blended return rate. The return rate for this product specifically. A 15% return rate destroys margin in ways that a 3% rate doesn't. Number 5, customer acquisition cost by SKU or product category. If you're running ads, some products require much more ad spend to sell. That hero product might have twice the CAC of your boring everyday item. Number 6, packaging materials. Is this product going out in a standard mailer or does it need a custom box? Does it need bubble wrap, ice packs, inserts? Number 7, platform fees. If you're selling on Amazon Fair or any marketplace, those fees eat your margin and they vary by product category. Now, I know what some of you are thinking, but Lara, CAC shouldn't be in contribution margin. That's a marketing cost. Here's my counter. If you have to spend money to acquire a customer to sell that unit, it's a variable cost of that sale. Period. I've seen too many brands optimize themselves into bankruptcy by separating marketing from product economics. Marketing, finance, and supply chain need to be looking at the same number, and that number is contribution margin. So, what do you actually do with this? At your stage, here's the move. Step 1, build a contribution margin calculator. This doesn't need to be fancy. A spreadsheet works fine. I'm going to walk you through exactly what to include. Create a row for each SKU, then create columns for selling price, COGS, packaging cost, fulfillment cost, variable, shipping cost, average for that SKU, payment processing, usually around 3% plus 30 cents. Return rate for that SKU, CAC, attributed to that product or category, any platform or marketplace fees. Contribution margin equals selling price minus all those costs. Contribution margin percent equals contribution margin divided by selling price. Step 2, calculate this for every single SKU. Yes, every single one. If you have 50 SKUs, you need 50 rows. This is going to take you a few hours the first time. It's worth it. Step 3, sort by contribution margin percentage. Look at that list. I guarantee you'll be surprised by what you see. Step 4, ask yourself 3 questions. First, are my top marketing investments going to my top contribution margin products? Second, do I have any products with negative or near zero contribution margin? Third, which products should I be pushing harder? Step 5, take action, and here's what I mean by that. For negative contribution margin products, you have 3 options: raise the price, cut costs somewhere in the chain, or kill the product. Those are your only options. You cannot scale your way to profitability on a product that loses money per unit. For low contribution margin products, dig into the cost drivers. Is it high CAC? Maybe shift to organic marketing or bundles. Is it high returns? Maybe improve the product page or adjust expectations. Is it shipping? Maybe increase your free shipping threshold or add a shipping charge. For your high contribution margin products, double down. These are your real winners. Even if they're not your best sellers by volume, they're your best sellers by profit. Your marketing team should know which these are. Your inventory planning should prioritize these. Your product development should extend these. The quick win this week: calculate contribution margin for your top 5 selling SKUs. Just 5, that alone will probably reveal something you need to act on. The longer term fix: make contribution margin a metric that your whole team sees. Marketing should know it, finance should know it, supply chain should know it. It should be on your dashboard. It should be in your weekly meetings. This is how you create alignment. When marketing, finance, and supply chain are all looking at the same number, they start making better decisions together. Here's what's at stake. If you ignore contribution margin, you will scale unprofitably. You'll pour money into products that lose money. You'll starve products that could save your business. And one day, you'll look at your bank account and wonder where it all went. I've seen it happen. I've seen 7-figure brands go under because they couldn't see the truth in their own numbers. They were growing and dying at the same time. But if you get this right, you start making decisions based on reality. You invest in what actually works. You cut what's dragging you down. And you build a business that gets more profitable as it grows, not less. At your stage, this is the difference between building something sustainable and building something that looks good until it doesn't. Gross margin is for pitch decks. Contribution margin is for survival. So remember, your gross margin is probably lying to you. Your best seller might not be your best earner. And the number that actually matters is contribution margin by SKU. This week, do the math on your top 5 products. Just 5, see what the real numbers tell you. Next week, we're tackling another mistake I see constantly, the inventory trap. Specifically, how founders at your stage are tying up cash in the wrong products at the wrong time. If you've ever felt like your money is stuck in boxes sitting in a warehouse, that episode is for you. If you want to dig deeper on today's topic or share what you found when you ran your contribution margin numbers, join us in the Slack community. It's free, it's full of founders figuring this stuff out together, and the link is in the show notes. I'm Lara, this is Supply Chain Moves, and I'll see you next week.